Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on bjpenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 43 had a UFC 264, Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier 3. We got a really good show for you all. But before we start off the lineup, if you haven't watched last week's show, I recommend watching just the Artem Lobov interview. He kind of previewed his fight in July, but a lot of it was about this McGregor training camp, McGregor's fight against Poirier, what kind of went wrong in the rematch, what he's changed in trilogy. So still very relevant, still some really good stuff from Artem Lobov. But for this show, we kick things off with one half of the co-main event, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to preview his fight against Gilbert Burns. This is a phenomenal fight. If Wonderboy wins this one, it's really hard to deny him not getting the next title shot. He'd be 3 wins in a row. He's the only guy really in the top 5 that Usman hasn't faced, so this would obviously be a big one. And an interesting style class. We touched on the fight against Gilbert Burns, how this is basically a fight Thompson thinks if he keeps standing, he's going to win every single time. Burns bringing in Raymond Daniels, who Thompson says tons of people brought in Raymond Daniels to prepare for him, and they all lost. But really intriguing matchup. And then we close things out touching on a potential fight with Usman and how he thinks he matches up against him. So that's obviously would be a really interesting style matchup. We're then going to be joined by Max Griffin to preview his fight against Carlos Condit. This is a big one. Max Griffin, 2-fight win streak. This is a guy that was fighting a UFC newcomer in Ramiz Brahimov last November, and probably fighting for his job entering that fight. He was on 2-fight losing streak, lost to Alex Morano, lost to Alex Oliveira. The Oliveira fight was super close. He has a lot of kind of weird losses to the UFC, like Thiago Alves. I think 99% of people thought Griffin won that fight, but he finally realized he can't be going to the distance anymore. He has to finish the fights, and he TKO'd Ramiz Brahimaj, and he knocked out Ken Song in March in the first round to get this big fight against Carlos Condit. Obviously, Carlos Condit kind of turned back the clock in his last 2 fights, beat Court McGee and Matt Brown by decision, which stopped a 5-fight losing streak. If he had lost Court McGee, there was no question Carlos Condit would be out of the UFC, but this is a big one for Condit. If he can get past Griffin, maybe gets a top 15 guy, but I think winning this one gets a top 15 guy. Max Griffin has to look very good, and if he can go out there and especially finish Carlos Condit, Max Griffin is a name to watch for a welterweight. And then we close things out talking to Phil Daru, who's Dustin Poirier's strength conditioning coach. Really good chat with Phil just about kind of the preparation, what they've done since January, what changes, what kind of the same kind of things they're doing, but this is really in depth on kind of Poirier's training, how you're building his frame, and something he mentioned that is kind of interesting. He thinks move to 170 for Poirier is in the very imminent future. He says Poirier's a big guy. The weight cuts are just not as easy as they once were. So, and especially on Fight Island in January, they had the weight cut Friday morning North America time. They didn't fight till Sunday morning they had to wake up Friday morning in Abu Dhabi, and they didn't fight till Sunday morning. So 48 hours. That's not normally the case. So that's kind of a different thing we touched on, is how you go about the weight cut with only having the usual 24, 36 hours before you fight. But good chat with Phil. Obviously only 3 guests. We did have Kevin Lee and Luis Volka, but both their fights got pulled, so those interviews won't be there. But still a really good show. Hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and thank you all for listening. All right, we're joined by UFC welterweight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's back in action at UFC 264. Stephen, how's it going?
Doing good, man. Glad to be on with you. Just got done training and on with you. It is 9:30 p.m. Still going strong.
First thing I got to ask, what's it like to be fighting up in the rankings? Been a while since you've done that.
100%, man. It's been a while since I've done that. So it's great. I'm so glad the UFC has given me this opportunity to fight the number 2 ranked guy. And I'm glad that Burns has given me the opportunity as well. So not a whole lot of people at the top 5 has done that. So, man, hats off to the up-and-coming NMF, because he's definitely an NMF guy. He's a super cool guy. I love Gilbert Burns. So, yeah, man, I'm just glad that's happening. Man, I'm ready to step out there. I'm ready to rock. We got 2.5 weeks right now, and I'm ready to do business. So working hard, man.
I was looking. I think the last time you might have fought up in the rankings is when you fought Woodley for the belt, because after that it was Masvidal, Till, Pettis, Luke A. Neal, like all those guys underneath you.
It was like 2015, 2016 or something like that.
Yeah, that been a long time. They've been
5 years. Daggone, 5 years. Wow, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Time flies, man. It seemed like it was yesterday.
Well, something that stuck out to me still from the last time we talked was you wanted to prove against Jeff Neal that you're no longer this gatekeeper. You're not a gatekeeper. Like, think you're finally past that stage where now they're actually going to try putting you in these top contender fights?
I think so, man. I think so, and I think with a good performance over Gilbert Burns, we'll be moving towards that title. I know there's some guys that they're talking about. Colby Covington, who's already fought him. Leon Edwards, who's fought him in the past. He's on a 7 or 8, 9 maybe winning streak. I don't know. But I'll be up there with the mix for sure for the next title shot with a good win over Burns. They got to give it to me. I mean, he was one of the last guys to fight Kamaru Usman besides Masvidal, which was his last one. So, yeah, man, I'm itching at the bits, and I'm not giving up on that title. That's the goal.
Before we get into your fight, I want to touch on the welterweight division. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on it? Because even from the last time we talked, it's still very similar where the top guys aren't fighting. They're just kind of all hoping Usman picks them to be the next guy.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got Colby Covington and Leon Edwards at the moment now. And Edwards said, hey, I'm waiting until I get that title shot. I'm not fighting anybody else. I'll get the title. Of course, Colby Covington, which I don't get, man. He's had one fight, which was Tyron Woodley. And then he gets another shot. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me after getting TKO'd by the guy. And not only that, but he's got his jaw broken. Like, I don't understand why that makes sense. But, yeah, man, kind of this, you got a lot of guys in the top 5. Obviously, Gilbert Burns has given me the opportunity, but, we're breaking down walls at a time, one wall at a time. And Gilbert is doing that. And hopefully, like I said, it will make some changes. Hopefully, you never know, whoever Gilbert Burns fights next. It's not Gilbert Burns. Kamaru Usman fights next. He could still be champ, or we may get somebody new. We never know. But hopefully, it's me, man. I mean, I know the fans want to see me fight for the title. I'm one of the only guys in the top 5 that hasn't fought him yet. So we'll see.
Your fight against Burns, are you surprised this was the fight? Because I always thought you versus Leon Edwards made the most sense. Like, I don't know why Leon didn't think that fight made sense.
Well, it did make sense. He just wants to fight for the title now. I mean, the guy's on an 8 or 9 fight winning streak. So, I mean, come on, UFC. The thing is, I think it's that way because he's not that much of an exciting fighter. I mean, you saw this last fight against Diaz. He was like almost just enough to win the fight for the finish. He had the low calves kicks worked against Diaz, but yeah, it just wasn't exciting. The only person that made it exciting was Diaz. Pointing at him, almost knocking him out in the 5th round. But those are just my 2 thoughts. I don't know.
It is very similar. I had a bunch of my friends over to watch that card, and like some of them MMA fans, some of them not, and a lot of them were bored up until that final minute of that fight.
Oh, I know, man. I mean, obviously Edwards was winning that fight. It was just crushing him, but that just showed that's just classic Diaz. Classic Diaz. He goes out there, puts on a show, takes a ton of damage, but he doesn't show it, man. Like, his his calf was killing him. It's probably still killing him to this day, just from taking those 3 shots. But yeah, man. I mean, he was losing the fight. I mean, I thought, Leon Edwards ruling him. I thought he just went out there and just played with the guy. But I felt like he was just back. Like, he could have gone out there and finished him. I don't know why he didn't. I don't even know why maybe Diaz thought he didn't have him hurt as much as he did. But I think that 5th round, he had him a wobble streak big time. And I thought Diaz could have finished him.
Getting into your fight, like, stylistically, this is a really fascinating fight just because you're obviously one of the best strikers in the UFC with your karate background. Gilbert Burns, that jiu-jitsu guy, but his striking has actually gotten a lot better, like, especially moving to welterweight. Like, he has a ton of power. He rocked Usman early. He dropped Woodley a couple times in that fight. Like, stylistically, like, how do you think you match up against him?
I think it's a good one, man. I really do. I mean, he's a guy that he's got power in his hands. He's got good jiu-jitsu. He's one of the very well-rounded fighters. It's a classic karate stylist versus grappler, but he's got hands, man. So I think it's a great matchup for both of us, and it gives me a chance to not only see how he fought, prepare for him outside of the cage, and then having to adapt as well in there if he's made changes. You see what I'm saying? So that's what makes this game fun for me, is the opportunity to be able to do that, to play that game, while you're out there fighting. Got to make those changes on the fly. So I'm excited for that, man. I'm prepared for wherever the fight goes.
How quickly do you think he's going to try to shoot on you?
Oh, I think he's going to try and shoot, like, right off the bat. He may try and fake the shot, come up with some hands and try and knock me out. Or if that doesn't work, he's definitely shooting in. I think he even said it himself. He's looking to take this fight to the ground. So, you know, will I ever be the grappler Gilbert Burns is? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? But I am very confident in my ability to get back up to me, and to get back up to my feet, and the ability to keep the fight standing. So, you know, I'm going to go out there and have some fun, man. That's what it's all about. And I've been working really, really hard on my takedown defense. My striking still getting better every day. So it's just a fun fight for me, man. It's like preparing for a Rory McDonald all over again.
I also saw you had Chase Hooper and Ryan Hall out at your gym. Was that specifically for this fight, or is that just trying to train with them more often?
Well, yeah. I mean, Ryan Hall is actually, we're fighting on the same card.
Yep.
So, you know, getting some cross training in is what it's all about, and Chase Hooper as well. Both very good grapplers, but stylistically a little bit different than what Gilbert Burns is, but very high level. So these guys can kind of help me break them down and help me look at things that Gilbert Burns likes to do. And they're such a big help, man, such a big help. And vice versa. We kind of, you know, we get that cross training and grappling for the strike and striking for the grappling. So it's great. And but both very good guys, very, very nice guys and good athletes for sure. So I was really excited to have them down.
How do you see this fight playing out?
You know, the only thing I'm prepared for, you know, everybody asks me, you know, what round you got to knock this guy out? And I'm like, listen, man, I don't ever predict any knockouts. I don't. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm prepared. A 3-5 minute round war. And that's the mindset I have going in there. You know, a lot of guys will go out there and say, yeah, I'm going to finish this guy and be confident in that, of course, which is good. But when that doesn't happen, either they wear themselves out trying, or it can mess with them mentally when it doesn't happen. And then they're drawn into this, you know, just this deep water and not be able to hang. So I like to go into these fights prepared for just the hardest scrap ever. And that's the mentality that I have. If I knock them out, awesome. If not, man, I'm prepared, man. I'm ready to go.
And what's it like for you to be on this big card? Like, you were on 205, which was a big one. Like, co-main event to Conor card. Like, I basically judge any UFC fight by like who texts me that like week, 2 weeks before, and I'm already getting texts from like people I went to school with, like my cousins and stuff, all being like, "Oh, how do you watch that?" Like, "Oh, what's it like for you to be?" Because especially co-main, like that's when people really tune in for a Conor card.
Yeah, man. And everybody's like, dude, how do you get on these sick cards? Like, I was on the same card at UFC 205, which is one of the biggest UFC cards of all time, you know, 3 title fight. Me fighting Woodley, you know, yeah, Conor McGregor on that card too. So time I've been on Conor McGregor card, and I'm just excited, man. This is really, and to be able to fight in front of a live audience again, so cool. Like just the energy that is around this kind of a fight. It makes me want to train harder. It makes me work harder, you know, puts my mental state to where I'm just ready to rock and roll no matter what. So I'm just excited, man, to be out there and co-main card. I'm blessed to be here in this card, and it's awesome, man. This card is sick.
Yeah, that's the big knock about always with McGregor cards is like the undercard's not that good because they already have Conor. They don't need to stack him. This card's pretty like you have you in the co-main event, like you have O'Malley, like Ryan Hall's on the prelims, like Kevin Lee's on the prelims. Like it's a top to bottom. It's probably one of the best cards, probably the best card they're gonna do this year.
Oh, that's what I like to hear, man. Yeah, dude. So it's just a pleasure. And the hype around this thing is awesome. Like I'm doing a lot of media for this. So I'm ready to get back to a live audience. This is, you know, my last fight in December, and it was the last fight of 2020, and there was no body allowed in the stands. So it's been a while. It's been over a year and a half since I fought in front of an audience live.
Just quickly with your fight again, like what do you think a win over Gilbert does for you? Like that's kind of the big question surrounding welterweight. Like Dana White keeps saying Covington's next, Edwards thinks he's after that. Like I think if you go out there and especially finish Gilbert, like I wouldn't be surprised if you jump the queue and jump out in front of both of them.
That would be awesome. And that's, you know, that's the plan, is to go out there and show everybody what I think I'm capable of and put on a good performance. And, you know, I know I can go out there and win this fight. My hand being raised at the end of it. And, man, it's just, it's awesome. It's just freaking awesome. It's got to catapult me up there. If not the next guy, at least the second of the next, man. Come on, UFC. If I go out there and do work, you got to give me that shot. And I know, and that's something the fans are wanting. They're wanting to see me fight. So let's make it happen.
If they do Covington Usman, like, would you be opposed to having another fight, or would you kind of pull that what a lot of them are doing and say, oh, maybe I just wait and see what happens?
Well, we'll see who gets the next.
Yeah.
If it's Colby, give me Leon Edwards. If it's Leon Edwards, then give me Colby Covington. You know what I'm saying? So it really doesn't matter as long as these guys are give me the guys that are right there with me to fight along, because there's three of us: Colby, me, Leon Edwards. So it is, man. I would like to, and it's really kind of what the UFC throws at me at this point. So yeah, man, I would be up for it for sure.
Just a couple more things, like back in front of the crowd. You kind of mentioned it there. Like, are you already looking forward to that walkout and like hearing that crowd?
Oh yeah, walking out to Wonder HSD and having the crowd go. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. Co-main event. So yeah, it's I love the life. I mean, it was a cool experience to be able to fight not in front of an audience, because just just have that experience. Be in that quarantine bubble, and it was a lot of different stuff. And doing the media, literally every media thing was in your room. So to get back to normal is just great, man. I'm glad to see the country slowly getting back that way. So, and this is a big step for sure. So I'm excited to be out there and to see the fans, hear the fans, shake hands with the fans. And that's why we do what we do, man. We do it for the fans.
You were obviously in Weidman's corner. Like, I know he's been posting a lot of updates, but like, how's he doing? Because I saw he was already back in the gym, which is absolutely mind-boggling.
Crazy, right? Yeah, man. I was there, corners cage side when that happened, and in his corner, and it was devastating. But to see his mindset, to see his spirit, how strong it is, and that core of people around him, get him through that thing, and that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's. I'm so glad that he has those people, that family, to help him push him through that. He did an interview, on his podcast he did with Anderson Silva. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but I thought it was super cool with two guys that this has happened to, and they kind of talk about it, the struggles through it, the surgery, the physical therapy, the pain. But he's in good spirits, man, and he's healing up. Like, Chris Weidman is the type of guy who could never throw a kick again and still win fights. Like, for me, on the other hand, that's completely different. Like, that's my jam. You know what I mean? That's what makes me me. So, but Chris, he doesn't have to do that. He can never throw a kick again and still beat up these guys.
Do you think he'll fight in? Because I actually talked to Anderson Silva before his fight, and like, what was actually kind of cool is he was telling me that he reached out to people at the UFC to get Weidman's number because he wanted to talk to him after it, and he was convinced like Weidman's coming back. So, like, are you under that same thing that you think he's for sure like that won't be the last time we see Weidman in there?
Oh no, dude, this is not the last time. Are you kidding me? No champion like that, no warrior like that is going to go out like that. You know what I mean? Chris Weidman is a warrior. It's funny. It's crazy because he's younger than me, and I feel like he's older than me. It's because he's got a family and kids and stuff, and slightly probably more mature than I am. But yeah, man, you ain't seen the last of that guy. Well, he's going to come back with a vengeance for sure.
Was he supposed to be a big part of your camp for Burns, just kind of showing the ground game before everything happened?
Well, been a part of my camp since the first time we met. So, not having him here it sucks. But at the same time, I still have a great core of people, good grapplers coming in, good wrestlers coming in to help me prepare for this fight. So, it stinks not having him here. I know he's healing up, but hey, man, we made it work. We got guys in here ready to rock and roll and put me through that grind. So it is.
Just last thing we've kind of touched on a little bit. Stylistically, like the champ, how do you think you and Usman match up? Because you're the only guy really in the top 5 that Usman hasn't fought. And like stylistically, it's such an intriguing matchup just because he's such a high level wrestler. You're a guy hard to take down. And on the feet, even Usman's getting a lot better.
Well, the thing is, like, this guy, he's known for his wrestling. He's known for his grind. He's known for breaking people because, but now he's got cardio for days, but now he's knocking out one of the best guys in one of the best strikers in the division, George Masvidal. He knocked out Gilbert Burns with a jab. So it's like, this guy's striking is getting better and better. And I feel like when I step out there, I'm going to be fighting the best version of Kamaru Usman. Of course, I'm not Gilbert Burns at all. But, you know, let's say I go out there and I put on a good performance and I get that shot. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But at the same time, he's got to prepare for me. He's got to take the time to prepare for me, which is very difficult. Yeah, man. Do I think he's going to try and stand there and bang it out? Heck no. He's going to be shooting with them legs, man. Thing is, I think and that's what I got to watch out for, is that he's got wrestling, he's got the striking. Now I got to work both. Like, he's shooting for the legs, coming up high with the right hand or something like that. He can mix it together very well. So, but yeah, man, I think it's a great matchup. Bad matchup for him, I'm saying. So it's you know, I mean, it will be a good one though. It would be a good one for sure.
Just one quick follow-up. You mentioned something there. You said you're hard to prepare for. Like, I actually think that's really true, just because your movement and how the way you strikes it's not like what a normal, like, someone that comes up in boxing does. Like, I saw Gilbert Burns brought in Raymond Daniels for this camp. Like, do you think it is harder to prepare for you than like you preparing for a lot of these other guys?
I think so, just because the style's so different. Everything's different, man. And even me and Raymond Daniels have a different style, you know? So like it really doesn't matter. Is there. Obviously he's giving him a look, but still it's going to be a different look when we step out there. It is. I think it's definitely more difficult for people to prepare for me than for me to prepare for them. It's feel like I kind of prepare for everybody the same way. You know, every fight starts on their feet, but at some point these guys are going to want to shoot on me and try and get me to the floor. So yeah, man, I think it is difficult to prepare for me. Very difficult.
All right. Well, Stephen, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this.
Anytime, buddy. Cole, you the man, brother. I appreciate you having me.
All right. We're joined by UFC welterweight Max Griffin, who's got a massive fight here at UFC 264. Max, how's it going?
Man, I'm blessed. Really good. Really good.
Fighting Carlos Condit, like, when you get the phone call or the email that you're fighting him, like, is it basically just like sign the contract right now?
Yeah. I said, yes, fuck yeah. Right then. You know, and then I wasn't sure the fight was going to happen, man. It took 2 weeks for him to accept it. So maybe it was contract stuff. Who knows? But it was almost out of the fight, you know. So I'm glad it turned out.
Are you surprised you are fighting him? Because I thought at this stage at Condit's career, like, he'd want to fight guys like Matt Brown, maybe run one back with Lawler, like guys like that are also at the end of their career. Like, I'm surprised he's fighting like a guy trying to make the other way into the rankings like you are.
I don't know. Maybe that's why it took so long. Maybe it was contract negotiations. I mean, I'm not an easy fight for anyone. I know he's a legend to me. You know, I've been watching him since the WEC days, man. I used to want to fight him forever. Like, I remember watching him just mad dog the camera and walking around. He was badass. I was like, I want to fight that guy. So here to come, I don't know how many years it's been, 10, 15 years later. Probably about 15, that his name's on the line, you know. It's full circle, man. It's interesting how life dreams come true, man. It's great.
What have you made of his recent run? Because he had that 5-fight losing streak, but like, he almost beat Lawler for the belt. Like, he was fighting a lot of tough guys. Then he ran off 2 in a row, looked very good against Court McGee and Matt Brown.
He's good. He's good. I mean, he's been with the best of them, and he's putting it back together again, which is great. You know, I wanted to fight him a couple fights ago, and they gave it the Matt Brown fight, and he looked good against Court McGee. But I've been looking great, and it's my time now. I mean, he's been around forever. He's been at the highest of the highs, some of the lowest of lows, but it's my time, man. I figured this out, and then they put me on this card, really to showcase. So I'm really appreciative for this opportunity, and I'm gonna capitalize on it. I'm gonna put him away. I know he's hard to finish, and no one, you know, finishes him in that, but I don't care. So Can't wait.
Is this the kind of fight that you like enjoy and it just excites you training for? Like this one just should just be like a stand-up kind of battle. I know those are the fights you like.
Yeah, no, a guy that wants to fight and a guy that is so good and technical and crafty and seasoned. Like I said, he's like a legend to me, man. He's been around forever, a pillar in the game. And like I said, to have this opportunity to, oh man, to be able to go out there and be me, be authentic, and go out there and get this crowd wild. I mean, it's on the Conor card with all the fans for the first time. It's gonna be bananas in there. I mean, I fought on the Conor card before, and they're another level.
How do you see this fight playing out? Because Condit has never been knocked out in his career. He has one technically TKO losses when he hurt his knee to Woodley, but he's a guy that's been very durable.
Yeah. I'd be a lot of guys that said they've never been knocked out and haven't been knocked out, but nobody could not get knocked out by me right now. Nobody. So, I mean, he may take a few more hits, a few more combinations, and I got something for him, man. Yeah, I got something for him.
Do you think people overlook you because of your record? Like, you have so many fights where I honestly think you could easily be on a 6-fight win streak now. Like, yeah, you easily beat Thiago Alves. I thought you beat Cowboy. Alex Morano, I know that was a close fight. You could have got it. Like, if one judge flips in Cowboy Thiago Alves, you're now 5 of your last 6 you won instead of 2 and 2 in your last 4.
That's cool to hear. That's always good to hear. But yeah, of course they overlooked me. Of course, the casuals, even people talk crap online. Oh, you lost this and that. Like, if you knew, you wouldn't be saying any of this stuff, And the people that really know, they know, and that's why I got this fight. I feel like I deserve it. You never really get what you deserve, but I got something I wanted, and they think it's going to be a good fight. So, I'm excited, man. Yeah, I'm so excited for this, bro. Like, this to me is like what all this is about. What all the fighting shit's about is when I got in this, I wanted to be one of the best in the planet. Like, that's when I started fighting. Yeah, 14, 15 years ago. It's what I wanted to do. And now, like, I'm getting these kind of fights and I'm having fun in there. It doesn't seem real, but it is. It's what I created and what kind of happened, and I'm ready, man. Like I said, I like Carlos a lot, but have a lot of respect for him. But we could be friends after the fight,
Has something changed with you in camp? Because it seems like now, like, you're going out there to get the finish. Not saying you weren't before, but like, it seems like you're obviously getting a lot more finishes in your last 2 fights compared to before.
Yeah. I put it back to my mental stuff, my mental coach, about being authentic and having fun, man, and being me. There's so much pressure out there to win, and you don't want to get cut, and you want to get your money, and it's stressful. It's a stressful thing. But once I like kind of switched my mind around on it and didn't try so hard, right? I mean, that sounds kind of weird, but I stopped trying so hard to get the knockout and trying to do this. Now they're just coming to me when I'm in this mind state, in this mindset. They're just coming. Just laugh. The one, the Song Keenan one, that was my second fight with this mindset. And we've talked about this before. So imagine it now. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait to go out there and see him across from me and beat him good too. Yeah, I believe he just signed a new contract, but yeah, I'm gonna take him. He likes to break people and push people, and I'm not one of those guys. So I enjoy that kind of shit. It's yeah, man, I'm so excited about this.
Do you think he's gonna shoot on you at some point? Like,
Of
do you think
course,
he's not gonna want to stand on you with
of
you?
course, of course. He's gotten better with his movement lately. He's been grappling more. You know, doing the submission undergrounds, doing all that stuff. He stays pretty low key though. He tries to stay under the radar. If you look at his stuff, he's a pretty quiet kind of guy. But of course he's gonna shoot. I mean, not off tops. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying. I mean, he's been in there with everyone. GSP. I mean, he's been in here with the best guys in the world. So he's by no means like scared of me or anything like that. But it's not gonna be your. I'm gonna take his soul. So it's not. It's not about that. You know. I want it more than him. I'm gonna prove it.
What do you think a win over Carlos, especially a finish, does for you and puts you in the division?
Man, they're gonna have to start giving me these names, or not these names. I mean, Carlos is a huge name. I need these numbers, and I'm fighting, alongside a lot of welterweights right now on that card. We got the Sean Brady. It's interesting how they do the matchups, right? And on the right card, right? You see like a trend of what guys kind of fight together. Like the heavyweight title fight, right? There's a bunch of heavyweight fights just to get the people kind of seeing, the prospect. I mean, we got Gilbert Burns, Stephen Thompson on there. I mean, we have some, Kevin Lee's making his 170 debut. Nico Price, Michel Pietri. Oh my God. Like it's it's a fun card, man. And I'm ready for these names. I mean, I've been saying like I want to make a run. I want the title now. I do. Like before, like I didn't really want it. I wanted to win. Like before, I just want to fucking win. Like let me have one of these judges go my way. Let me figure this out. But now I'm winning, so winning's fine. Like I'm over that pressure. I'm over what I had before. It was more putting. There's so much stress, man. I'm telling you, it's at least for me. It's a high stress situation. So, but since my newfound stuff, I'm so much better. I'm getting better every day. I'm training with some of the best guys, and I'm training with my training partners and thinking about them. When you think about your training partners, when you leave, my guy Slava Borshev, 13-time freaking K1 champion, like from Russia and all that, Germany, all this stuff. Man, he tries to put it on me, man. He's my boy. And I think about him when I leave. Oh, he got me with this or got me with that. When you go against guys, my guy Ryan Loader, D1 All-American, one of the best. You're going with these guys, and it's a blessing to have these such high-level training partners, so you can grow, because you got to grow every day. You got to learn every day. These guys kind of stop when they think they know everything, and I'm still getting better. I'm getting older, obviously, but I'm getting better. And usually that's not the case. Usually it's opposite. You get that decline, you start doing good, and then as these guys, this is my what the hell is that? Sorry. Are you there? Where are you?
Yep. Yeah, you got me still?
Yeah, I got a call and it took my thing, but I'm trying to find where.
No, you're still good. Your video's still there. It's all good.
Oh, that was weird. Okay.
I was basically just gonna say, like, being on this card back in Vegas in front of fans, like, there's gonna be a lot of eyeballs on this one. Like Conor Poirier, like all my friends already texting me they want to watch this thing. Like, what's this like for you to be on this card?
It sounds whack, but it's like destiny, bro. Like it's for me to be on this card. I mean, they originally told me I'd be fighting August, September. So this fight was a little bit sooner than I expected, but I train every week. I train every day. It's nothing new. It's really just diet. Really. It's the only thing that's different. Diet and the specific game plan, specific tendencies for who I'm fighting. But I jumped on this opportunity. This is gonna be major. I mean, I debuted on Connor DS2. That was like 5 years ago. And it was so live. And then to be back on this, this Connor card in Vegas with the first 400 fans, it's going to be a monumental night in there. Like, it's going to be deafening in there. Like, I mean, I can't even believe it. And now, like with my newfound stuff, like how I think now and how I use the energy, oh, bro, I'm going to be floating around there, and it's going to be so good. I'm telling you, especially with the fans. It's nice knocking out people and taking ears off in silence. But imagine knocking a guy's ear off when there's fans. Imagine, dude, it's going to be wild. I'm not saying I'm going to knock that man's ear off, but he's a natural born killer. And I can't wait. I can't believe it, man. You know what? I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I'm here, and it's over for that man. Simple as that. Look at that shake. My knees shaking. That's adrenaline right there.
Just last question. Like, you obviously know how big of this card is. Like, there's gonna be a lot of buys. So are you already thinking of a post-fight call out? Because you get a win over Carlos Condit, and especially on this card, like, I'm pretty sure you asked for the right guy. Like, you're probably gonna get it.
I actually haven't for this fight. I think it'll come to me. Yeah, Carlos is so big that he's the only one on my mind right now. But hey, we'll see who's there. We'll see. It'll come to me. I'm pretty sharp. You got me thinking, but Carlos first, and then they'll be coming to me. I'll have a choice, And what I like too is I really needed to ground myself for this fight, because there's been so many opportunities, even just like wave of momentum that's been freaking going my way, man. It's like finally people are starting to see what the deal is. Like, people are starting to understand like how fucking badass I am. So now it's time to put it all together. And my opportunities. No, it's what I was saying with my mental coach, was saying, hey, Max, you have all these business things going on. This. People are trying to do this. Just so many fires. I'm not trying to be spread too thin. So I had to shut it all down, shut down my shit down, just train. He's like, Max, your opportunities after this victory will be tenfold what they are now. And I believe it. And I'm gonna make it happen. This journey is continuing, and this is kind of like a full circle one. When I wanted to fight him when I was like a teenager, and now to fight him now on my win streak, and I'm fighting on the Connor card. It's gonna be so good. It's fake. You can't make this stuff up. So,
all right, well, Max, man, I appreciate the time. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Cole.
All right, we're joined by Dustin Poirier, strength and conditioning coach Phil Daru. Phil, how's it going, man?
Real good. Hectic day. Again, I had to apologize one more time. I had to come back home and get on my laptop because T-Mobile sucks. I'm going to say it right now.
Obviously, we're about a week and a half from, I would say, I know Khabib's fight was up there, but I'd say this is probably Poirier's biggest fight, even though there's no belt on the line. Like, if you can beat Connor twice, like, your star power only grows. So, like, ever since January, like, what's kind of training been like with Dustin?
It's the same usually. The one thing that he is now that I would say different from most of the other fights is that he's super calm. He's confident. He knows what he's getting himself into. He's been there before, obviously. He doesn't take Connor lightly or anything of that nature, but he's confident in his abilities. He knows what he needs to do. And I would say he's the most calm that I've seen him in all of his fights leading up to the fight. Obviously he's going to be fatigued and a little tired from the weight cut, the dieting and the training. But for the most part, he feels good.
Entering that fight in January, like, how much training was a lot of it? Obviously, you do a lot of strength conditioning, but how much of it was mental? Because going into that fight, like he was coming off that fight with McGregor, the last memory he has is getting knocked out in the first round. Like there's all those questions, like can he take that punch and all that? Now that he's fought him, like what's kind of his mindset like going into this one?
The first fight, he didn't take that into account either, though, because it was so long ago.
Yep.
He was 145 pounds then. He's bigger now. He's more dominant in there. He has way more experience. So, again, going into it this time, he knows what he can do. He's very confident in his boxing. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So there's no real holes there. He knows he has tremendous heart in there. He knows he loves to fight, and that's going to place him well in a fight like this. So I think that all he has to do is go out there and do what he's been doing for the past fights. And honestly, I don't see this going any other way but a victory in our favor.
The conditioning, like obviously Poirier got him out there in the second round, but for me personally, like I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes a distance, or it goes longer. Like, is that something you're even looking on? Because you look at McGregor when he fought Diaz, quickly finished, and then he turns around and they go all 5. Like, I think we could be in store for something similar to that.
Yeah, I see that happening and playing out. These guys make they make those little corrections based upon the last fight. And Conor's definitely doing that, I'm sure. So I don't see an issue with it going the distance. Obviously, he has a huge amount of cardiorespiratory endurance. He has, his ability to sustain outputs is very high, and he has that naturally. But we also work it in the gym, and for us, that goes in our favor in a sense. So if we do take it to the later rounds, that's actually better in our way. So I'm looking forward to it, but I do see when you talk about predictions and everything else, I do not see it going to 5 rounds. I do see someone, making a mistake, obviously with Conor making the mistake of trying to end the fight early maybe and make a statement, and it's going to cost him. So we'll see though. Everything plays out differently. It's the fight game. It changes. We understand that, but for the most part, I don't see it going the distance, but if it does, we're fully capable, and he's fully capable of taking control of that.
You've been around this sport for a long time, but this fight, like, what's the balance like between trying to bulk up Dustin to add more strength, but then obviously when you get more muscular, it's harder to keep that up for 25 minutes, especially with Conor. Like, you're going to wrestle, it's going to be some movements. Like, how do you kind of balance that?
Well, he's naturally a big kid.
Yeah.
People really don't realize that because he's fought at 45, but I mean, naturally he was a 55er at 45, and now he can even make 170. So, for me, it's not so much about just, working on building muscle mass. And the goal off camp is to obviously increase muscle hypertrophy and work on those things and bring up those weak points. But that's going to be conducive to his game. And what we do when we get into camp, well, now we have to look at what is the game plan? What are his strengths and what are his weaknesses? We want to bring up those weaknesses in off camp, and then we want to enhance his strengths in camp. And so for now, like the major goal for us was to take that strength and a little bit of that muscle that we've gained over the off camp, and then we want to transition that over into power, speed, power, endurance, and being elusive and having that ability to have a quick reaction timing and things of that nature, because we do want to be constantly active. And that's the one thing that I honed in on in this camp was more footwork and speed and timing, and also his ability to move fluently. So the efficiency of movement is very important because that's less energy expenditure. So now he's able to reproduce energy throughout the entire time of the fight, be, again, more efficient with his movement that'll allow him to do what he needs to do.
You kind of touched on it there, but just kind of want to expand on it. We've obviously seen Dustin like kind of just stand in the middle, getting some of those like firefights. But with Conor, like you're kind of preaching that footwork and movement. Is that something that's like big in this one? Because you see people that stand in front of Conor, it doesn't really end that well. But in that second fight, Poirier was using his head movement, using his footwork, and he was able to counter McGregor, who's kind of known for his countering.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't think Dustin's boxing is underrated anymore. But there was a point where it was, and he's actually even more confident in his boxing coming into this camp. He actually told me last week that he feels like his boxing is the best it's ever been. That's a shout out to Dia Davis too, as well, his boxing coach. And, and Mike Brown and Thiago Alves, they put that game plan together. But he's very confident on the feet. When it comes down to it, he loves it. He loves to get into those fights. But he's gotten older. He's gotten more mature. There's some time in the game. He doesn't want to take unnecessary shots, especially from a guy like Conor. So what I'm looking to do, especially now with him having better hip mobility and having that hip not be a dysfunction at this point, we can move more efficiently. So we don't have to stay in the pocket, use only head movement and try to parry shots. We can actually move our feet. And that's going to get Conor tired too as well. And also helps him with his defense, with takedown defense and things like that. Now, I always say this, like, obviously Conor's a stand-up fighter, but you never know in a fight, right? Conor may actually go for a shot. He did it with Nate Diaz too as well. So if that's the case, we want him to be elusive. We want him to be able to move, get away from those shots and make sure that he can capitalize on that from there.
I'm not sure how much thought you put in this, but obviously when the second fight, when they fought in Abu Dhabi, it was like, 5 a.m. they're fighting out. Like, is anything going to change on fight night of how you kind of prepare Dustin to kind of loosen his body out before just fighting at a different time?
No. This is actually better for us. The Abu Dhabi fight was a little crazy, especially with me. I wasn't able to even go out there. He had to quarantine in Vegas for a few weeks, and then he had to go out. So he actually told me to write him up like an in-hotel workout, which was with COVID was going on. So we did an in-house or in-room workout, body weight only, to just maintain his elusiveness, maintain his conditioning, and feel strong. But the time change, however, was definitely weird. I know that he definitely put into effect that the week before the fight, and he got there 10 days early. So he was able to adapt to the time. Now it's in Vegas. It's a little bit obviously easier. He's used to this particular time frame and should be good to go.
And especially in the heat in Abu Dhabi, which kind of gassed you out even more. Do you think that's going to just kind of make, not even just Poirier, but kind of both their conditioning a bit better?
Yeah, but I mean, for Dustin, I mean, it's always hot here. We're in Florida. Yeah. So it's not as bad. It is hot, don't get me wrong. And he definitely felt it in the Khabib fight, just muggy, and being at that time frame. Vegas, we get a little bit more leeway. He's going to be in the T-Mobile Arena this time. And, it's going to be hot in Vegas, obviously, but it's not going to be as bad as Abu Dhabi for sure.
And again, I don't know how much thought you put into this one, but when they fought in Abu Dhabi, Poirier, it was like almost like 48 hours between weigh-in and fight day for him to kind of recover. Now it's going to be back to, because they weighed in like Friday morning, North America time, fought basically Sunday morning.
Yep.
Now they're like back to usual weigh-ins. Like, does anything change for you on helping him recover and whatnot after the weigh-in?
No, I mean, he has his protocols that he uses. He's been working with George Lockhart forever, so he knows what he needs to do to replenish after weigh-ins too as well. He has a set list of foods that he likes to eat that actually digest well, and then from there, it's basically just kind of calming his body down. He's been through a lot of fights. And so, even with training, we have to auto-regulate a lot based upon, the amount of frequency of training and how hard he actually goes with the intensities that he needs to go through. So the entire week is primarily just getting his body back into a state where he can fight efficiently. So whatever we do, it's just a lot of resting, a lot of mental preparing. He'll hit some pads to stay loose with Daya, or he'll roll with Mike or something like that. But it's not that crazy. It's just basically just being ready. You should, honestly, my job is pretty much done after tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. But I know that for a fact that the next week is just going to be about getting the weight down, making sure that he's recovering. And then once that weight cut is over, then it's all about replenishment, getting the proper fuel, whether that be electrolytes, creatine, proteins, things like that. Carbohydrates are obviously going to be important. And then from there, it's just resting his body, So I think he will be 100% come fight night for sure.
And then with you, this fight was kind of announced pretty quickly after January. And I know Poirier kind of got right back into training, but how cautious were you of not overworking him? Because you've probably seen a lot of fighters before they even get to the fight, they're already burnt out and their body's already broken because they're overtrained.
Yeah, he's a true professional, man. When you get to that elite level, they know their body really well. So for me, I'm just helping him understand where he needs to go. I'm kind of guiding him, but he's the driver, right? You know, at the end of the day, I'm just the one navigating. So with that, I'm making sure that when we started camp, we developed a large base of general preparedness. And basically what that means is I'm giving him enough strength, enough overall fitness, enough overall aerobic capacity so that once we get closer into camp, when he's doing higher frequency of training, especially with the skills practices, he's able to recover faster because his aerobic base is so high. And that's actually a testament to his natural abilities too as well, because he can come into camp and go 5-6 rounds, 5-5 minute rounds like that, because he's just that genetically enhanced in a sense, right? So what we want to accomplish there is that I want to make sure that we're slowly progressing over time. And then when I feel like we need to pull it back based upon, you know, his feedback and then also the pickup of the skills training, then we do so. We've gotten to a point now that we can basically use subjective indication. So I don't need to use HRV monitors anymore. I don't need to use anything of that nature from a technical standpoint because of the fact that we have great communication and I know his schedule very well. And we've had enough time together. We're talking 5+ years and 11 camps that I know exactly when he's going to feel overly tired, when he's going to start to fatigue, and then when his body's going to start to be run down. And that's usually around 5 weeks out from the fight. So then we take a deload break off of that. I bring down the intensities. I bring down the volume a lot. And again, he does the same with his skills training. So he may take off a day or two, and that actually helps him. Mentally, you know, it's a struggle sometimes, but because he wants to get in there and get after it. But then again, he has to be smart enough, knowing his own physiology and then getting feedback from all of us to say, bro, you know how to fight. That's not the issue. Let's make sure that your body is capable of getting through these next 4.5 weeks so that you can go to the fight primed and ready to go.
Obviously, fight week for him is just more about getting the weight down, but we're a week and a half out right now today. So, like, what's this past week? Like when you're 2 weeks out, what's that kind of week look like for your training with Dustin?
Yeah, so his skills training has picked up tremendously. So he's doing his last hard session. He did his last hard sparring session on Saturday, and now he's I think today was Wednesday. So now he's grappling today, doing some hard rounds on the mats, and then tomorrow he'll do one more sparring session. Friday with me, he wants to blow out his lungs. So basically what we'll do is we'll do some type of max aerobic power sprint intervals. It's more to push the VO2 max to maintain, if not anything, his overall aerobic capacity and his aerobic power, and also just to get mentally prepared for the fight and the cadence and the intensity and the pace of the fight. So that's going to be for Friday, and then after that, you know, Saturday he'll do kind of like a walkthrough type of deal, and then Sunday he heads out to Vegas. Are you going out there with him? Like, are you going to be in his corner? I won't be in his corner, but I'm there cage side, and I'll be there probably right before weigh-ins. So we keep close connection through text, and Daya's out there. Mike's going to be out there, so it'll be good. But primarily Friday, I'll be there to watch the weigh-ins, and then after that, get with him after to replenish, and then fight time. Just a couple more things for you. If Poirier gets it done again, like, where's that kind of ranked for you for kind of career memory? Because especially if he finishes Conor twice, like that would be obviously very big. It's funny. I was joking with him, but I was like, if you win, I'll retire. And he's like, man, don't do that to me. I was like, man, there's nothing else I need to accomplish in the sport, you know. But yeah, that's where it marks on my level of importance right now. Just and again, it's because of the fact that we're so close that, you know, I still have fighters that I'm, you know, looking to get to the next level and work with. You know, have Randy Costa. You know, we got a bunch of guys, right? So what I'm looking at is I want to make sure that I'm putting my time and effort into the one true person that we've been able to make huge amount of gains, progressions over the years. But if he does win, it's definitely going to be the highlight of my career for sure. But there's still many to come, so I can't really say. And from the sidelines, like, I think a lot of people were like, why didn't Poirier take that title fight? But to me, I thought it always made sense to do Conor trilogy. Like, if he beats Conor, the title fight's coming anyways. And there's only so many Conor fights you can have. And if you beat him twice, like, your star power is only that much bigger. Like, do you kind of agree that
only made sense to do this fight and pass up the vacant title fight?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Makes sense from a money standpoint, you know. It just makes sense from a legacy standpoint, you know. But yeah, and again, it's only right at this point, you know. He won one, Conor won one. It's only right at this point. So I know that that's one of the reasons why too as well. But ultimately, he can retire after this fight if he really wants to. He doesn't have anything else he needs to prove. You know, he can go for the title shot, you know, ultimately win that. But at the end of the day, you know, he's happy with what he's accomplished.
I think people don't realize, like, Poirier is only 32 for having so many UFC fights. Like, he's kind of just entering his prime right now, which is just crazy for how much he's already accomplished.
Yeah, he's been in some wars though, you know, so it's like 10, 12 plus years of fighting at the highest level, you know, and that plays a toll. It's not really the fights, it's really the camps, right? It's the amount of time away from your family. It's the, you know, 12 weeks, 12 to 9 weeks of in camp grinding all day long. And then it doesn't stop, you know what I mean? Like after a fight camp, you may take a week off or something like that, but you're back in the gym the next week and you're grinding it out even more with all your teammates. So it's 12 to, I don't know, probably 13, 14 years of him training consistently every day almost, you know, so that takes a toll on your body and your mind.
Just last thing I have for you is something you mentioned earlier. You said Poirier to 170. Like, he's even kind of hinted that. Like, how seriously do you think maybe he beats Conor, maybe he wins the belt? Like, how better do you think he'd be at 170 where you could then start adding more weight and just start doing all that kind of stuff?
Make my job a lot easier for sure. No, I like it, man. I see him really being dominant, utilizing his skill at that weight class, but also his body in general. He's a big kid, like I said, and you know, naturally we don't have to suck our body down and worry about calories and weight cutting. He can actually go in there pretty healthy, you know, to a degree. Obviously, you're in a combat sport, it's not that healthy, but at the end of the day, he's not depleting his body entirely to make that weight, and he'll be able to be better from a performance standpoint, right? And they get more knockouts that way too as well.
Do you think he'd honestly be better at 170 than lightweight if he like built his frame properly? Because he's probably one of the bigger lightweights out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say better. I'd say it's a good look. You know, he definitely can be successful there. But he's accomplished a lot at 155. He's accomplished a lot at 145, but for the most part, 155 is a great weight class for him. But 170 isn't far-fetched. It's something that can be there. Not saying that he wants to stay there or anything like that. I don't want to speak out of turn or speak for him, but yeah, I see him actually getting in there and being successful in that weight class.
All right, well, Phil, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
All right, man.